All right, so this is our first of our semifinal matches. Number 2 versus number 6. Dykman, an upset win there over Ben Weinberg in the quarterfinals, brings him to this match against Michael Hamilton. For Hamilton and John Rossum, our 1 seed, they have been at the top of the standings just about all tournament. Met in round 9, both winning 3 more after that. Find themselves as the 2 top seeds of the tournament and both in the semifinals. And seeing if indeed we're going to have a rematch of yesterday's last round in the finals. Steven Dykman stands in the way with Black Green Energy, a runner-up already in an Open this year, looking to finally take the trophy.
And this is going to be an interesting one. These are 2 decks. I can't imagine anybody was playing the same 75 of either of these players.
Yeah, Black Green Energy is known. Dykman's build of it is certainly off the path. Hamilton's deck, I haven't seen anything like this.
Yeah. Yeah, 4-color control, lots of 1s and 2s.
Yeah, and it's the card choices here. These are just all over. Which kind of makes it exciting, though. It makes it certainly easier to build. More fun, too.
Playing this deck probably feels a little bit like playing a battle box, if you ever played that kind of Magic. It's just a stack of good 2-for-1s and things like that. Of course, most people don't put Planeswalkers in their battle box, so these Dovin Bonds, and you hear the Harbinger.
You could put Dovin Bond in the battle box. That'd be fine. I don't know about Nahiri. That one's a little careful on that.
Nahiri is a very powerful Magic card. In particular, you end up in a format where enchantments matter. That's not the case here, but it's really good every time you can play it and immediately exile your opponent's only creature. Dykman not looking thrilled about his mulligan here.
Yeah, as a 6, yeah.
He's convincing himself, though.
He's going to keep it. Card on top, that's a good sign.
All right.
All right, so here we have our semifinal underway.
Forest off the top. Maybe he was just missing a land.
Yeah, for the 4-color control deck for Hamilton, it's largely going to play like a blue-red deck on the early turns.
The one issue of being red mana can be hard to come by sometimes.
Yeah, 2 Essence Scatters and a Censor looks like in his opener. No more lands. Servant of the Conduit is going to be played from Dykman. Hamilton would love to censor it. It looks like he's going to Essence Scatter instead so that he can cycle the Censor if it comes to that. No problem, though. Picks up a land. And a good one at that, Spire Bluff Canal.
Yep, that's a strong pickup. Now only off of his very light black splash. Won't need that anytime soon, though.
Yeah, a 1-card splash, I believe. Nicol Bolas Planeswalker.
Yep.
Or God Pharaoh, the new Nicol Bolas. Finally got to see it on camera today. Did not win the game, but I still believe. And we see Dream Stealer from Dykman. This is one that Hamilton is going to have to answer. This card's very good against control.
Yes. Have to answer it now. Good chance I'll have to answer it again later, as this does have Eternalize.
You look here, there's a lot of choices for Hamilton. He's got Censor, Essence Scatter, Harnessed Lightning. So he'll just censor it. This is an interesting one. He doesn't have a 4th land. Can he draw it? Well, not yet. Draws another Censor. So, and he'll just say go. I was wondering if he was going to try to cycle to fish for the land. Looks like no.
If Dykman plays a 3-mana Planeswalker with no land follow-up, Hamilton really wants to have that Censor for that.
Yeah, he'll try for... All right, how about another Dream Stealer?
Yeah, get rid of that.
Both of his main deck ones. Yeah, Hamilton just has to answer these cards. Fortunately, his deck is very capable of doing that.
Yep. And if Hamilton can counter this, find an untapped 4th land and cast Nahiri on the next turn, he'll be sitting pretty.
Censor will counter. So Hamilton's not minding missing land drops as long as he has counters for all the spells. So far he's done that. Both players stuck on 3 lands.
For now, there's a much more pressing need for the control deck to find that 4th land eventually than there is for the energy deck.
Yeah, and Steven's going to find one in kind of a land, in Servant of the Conduit. He's got 2 of them in his hand. See if Hamilton's going to counter that. I guess it is a 2-2. He could harness lightning it as well.
Yeah. Dykeman's deck doesn't have a lot of stuff that costs more than 3 mana, so using a counter spell on that doesn't seem ideal.
In 7th place with 22 points, Maddie Russell.
Looks like the Servant has resolved. Hamilton's thinking about what he's going to do otherwise.
Josh Shields. Congratulations, my top 8 players. If you could please report to where table 1 was, so we can get you seated and start playing. Everyone else, your standings are out in the hallway, posted on the middle pairings board.
Aether Hub drawn from Hamilton. He'll get energy of his own and pass back. So saving some of his removal here. Looks like what he's decided is he can let Servants resolve. And he's going to save that removal for the business cards.
Yep. And if Dykeman attacks or taps the Servant for mana, then on the following turn, Hamilton will immediately be able to get it with the Nahiri.
Yeah, and here's one. Tireless Tracker from Dykeman. And see, that'll get the Essence Scatter from Hamilton's hand. Possible follow-up. Dykeman's hand, land, Servant, Grasp of Darkness. Really wish that, he was hoping that Tireless Tracker was going to resolve.
Yeah. That Grasp in Dykeman's hand, likely not going to do anything this game.
Well, and now here's going to be the difficult part. And we saw some of this in the last time we had Michael on camera. The question for me is going to be, can his deck turn the corner? Most of the times the blue-red deck you'd expect, yeah, he'll play 6 lands and he'll play a Gear Hook. But Hamilton's deck has 1 Gear Hook in it, and it's actually, it can lose from this spot a lot more easily than other control decks.
Right.
Now that said, against a black-green energy, a card like Nicol Bolas the God Pharaoh is going to be near unbeatable if he can live to cast it.
Right. If you get that when your opponent only has 1 creature or 1 planeswalker on the battlefield or less, then it'll just take over the game entirely.
Modern Classic competitors, if you place between 9th and 32nd place, I'm sure you want to collect your prize. To do so, you're going to line up in a single file line.
And now that the Servant did tap for mana, you can expect that Hamilton's going to play that Nahiri in -2. Though you would make it vulnerable to Hissing Quagmire on Dykeman's side, so I suppose that's not even a terribly inviting line. You might even just plus the Nahiri, really.
Yeah, I'm going to say cast Nahiri from Hamilton. Plus or minus, though, yeah, that is the question on it. Reaches for a 6, it's going to be a plus. Discards Blessed Alliance to draw. Draws Fumigate. That's certainly an upgrade.
Yeah. Dykeman's deck is largely creatures.
Yeah, Fumigate for a black and energy deck is very hard to beat.
Another land picked up for Dykeman there. Still fiddling with that Grasp of Darkness.
Yeah, this is not going to do much. Like Walking Ballista in Steven's hand. He'll hit Nahiri down to 4 and then play Ballista on 2. He's debating whether he should put Nahiri to 2 and forego casting Ballista. Looks like he decided to play the 2/2. Last card is that Grasp of Darkness.
This will make Hamilton's turn easy.
I like Fumigate here. Dovin Bond picked up for Michael Hamilton.
All right, now we're really cooking.
Now we got him. This card's so good.
Maybe the most played Planeswalker in the modern era.
Certainly the best. Of all the white-blue Planeswalkers, I can't think of one that's better.
Yeah, there's only Narset Transcendent.
Fencer.
Vencer's kind of stinky. Some people like Vencer a lot.
Dovin Bond had not, since his, has not seen much play since his printing in Kaladesh.
Yeah, it shows up in some of these Jeskai decks sometime, but it's never been stock.
Here's Fumigate. Ballista will shoot Nahiri down to 2. Fumigate will happen. Hamilton gains 1. This might be the best tournament finish for Dovin Bond that I can think of. Outside of, like, draft matches. He's, like, not even that good in draft, actually. He's fine.
I think he's probably a first pick, right?
No.
Really?
No.
I didn't draft
No.
Kaladesh.
I know. I say that
you.
authoritatively.
I believe
no.
you. Do you think could you wheel a Dovin Bond?
No. I mean, it depends who you're drafting with. People, someone hasn't read up, and someone's going to think he's a first pick, so no. Now you'll, like, take the good kill spell over him.
Sure. I buy that.
Another Walking Ballista on 2 from Steven Dykman. Nahiri will plus up to 6. Gonna cycle away that land without, you know, the hard way.
Yeah, got to rummage the irrigated farmland. It's like he has Fluctuator in play.
And here's Dovin Bond. And Dovin Bond, Steven's gonna read it. We're gonna read it every time. Hey, how's that against Walking Ballista?
It is still not very good because they just
Quagmire just kills it?
You wait until your next turn.
But no, Quagmire just kills the Dovin Bond.
Quagmire only attacks for 2.
Oh, it's -3, -0. Okay, yeah, right. So it's only a 0. So you can't pump it through. I mean, it's not going to kill it. Okay, I forgot the -3
The thing about this interaction, you turn off Walking Ballista on your opponent's
Yeah.
turn, but both the abilities can just be activated at instant speed on your next turn.
Yeah, look, it's not a great, it's not a great card. Yeah, you mean like on your opponent's upkeep, you can just kill Dovin Bond? If you've decided that you want to trade Walking Ballista for Dovin Bond, which I understand if you are not sold on that.
Dykman's not sitting in a seat to make any decisions. He has very few resources. He's way behind Nahiri plus Dovin Bond.
Right, but right now he has the option on Hamilton's upkeep to make that trade.
Sure. Proving to be a powerful duo.
Nahiri and
approximately 80% of the power coming from Nahiri.
Now that card's great. No complaints there.
But yeah, now with the Quagmire, Dykman could use the Ballista to shoot down Dovin Bond. He really doesn't have much else going on.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, I guess so. Dovin Bond was just like, yep, he's an upkeep. Shoot Dovin. Shoot him again. So it was a 4-mana kill. Yeah, that was fine. I mean, this game still looks very good for Michael Hamilton. You see he draws a second copy of Supreme Will.
Yeah, that was kind of like a sorcery speed cast out, the Dovin Bond was.
It also made Steven tap 4 lands.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's the payoff you get for casting it at sorcery speed.
Well, I mean, you are playing a 4-mana kill spell for a 2/2. So I would hope there's some upside. And one of the Supreme Wills will be used on the Impulse mode here from Michael, main phase. Looks at the top 4, gets to pick one to put into his hand. He'll take Glimmer of Genius, putting a trio of lands on the bottom of his deck. And if you were wondering the spell that Michael could get with this Nahiri now goes up to 8 with Ultimate, Linvala the Preserver or Torrential Gearhulk are going to be his 2 targets.
This is not a good spot for Linvala, and every spot is a good spot for Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah,
so
no
you got to
complaints.
figure it's going to be the Gearhulk.
6 mana from the graveyard for Steven Dykman. Yeah, those guys have Eternalize. Here's a Dreamstalker again. The Menace 4/4. When it hits Michael, Michael will discard 4 cards. Okay, and you can't counter that with Supreme Will, so Michael's going to go looking for something to deal with that. Looks like Cast Out in his top 4. That'll do the trick. He'll take that, putting 3 more lands to the bottom of his deck. Michael would rather keep his dreams, thank you. And there's another Dream Stealer in the graveyard for Dykman, so Michael has an answer to 1. He'll have to find an answer to the second one.
He won't be able to Cast Out and Glimmer this turn.
Yeah, so start by cycling this land. Draws him into Spire Bluff Canal. Nahiri up to 10. He's going to keep rummaging through these lands. Draws him into, looks like a second cast out. So he's done it. I'll go cast out on the first Dream Stealer. I don't believe there's any copies of Blossoming Defense in Steven's deck. So no, Michael can do this Sorcery Spade. I don't know if there's anything that punishes him if he doesn't.
Right. Yeah, there's no Blossoming Defense here.
Grasp of Darkness and some lands in Steven's hand, so he'll eternalize the other one. I have really liked Dream Stealer against this control deck. I don't know if it's going to be good enough this game. Michael has kind of taken control, but...
That card does force some action. Yeah, it does look quite powerful.
Yeah, I mean, they both took kill spells on the way down and from the graveyard. They've been a solid 2-for-1 for Dykman.
Yeah, we saw earlier in the weekend when Dykman was playing against JD and Clomperens, where he was able to play Dream Stealer in a matchup where it's not particularly good and grow it with Nissa Voices Endikar. So the card seems to play pretty well with things that can give it more power.
You see Dykman checking Michael Hamilton's graveyard, finds Harness Lightning. The reason being is he's thinking that Nahiri is going to go get Torrential Gearhulk, and he wants to know what answers are at the ready.
Right.
So, because he's good, and this is a really smart play from Dykman. He decides to Quagmire the Nahiri to 8 instead of making the Eternalized creature. If he made the creature, he saw that Nahiri would get Torrential Gearhulk, target the Harness Lightning, kill the Eternalized creature, put the Gearhulk in Michael Hamilton's hand, game over.
Yep.
First match in, over on the other table, we might have a rematch being set up. It's Jonathan Rossum winning game number 1 over teammate Zan Sayed. Just not going to be beaten.
Yeah, really not into losing. On paper, Zan the only player to have a win against Rossum.
Yeah, and that his one loss.
There's an asterisk there. That was a concession.
Nahiri back up to 10, gonna make the same threat as last turn. And Hamilton says go, but things are worse for Dykman this time. Michael cast Glimmer of Genius before making this play. Has Supreme Will, Linvala in hand. This is looking to be wrapped up here for Hamilton.
Yeah, some good leftovers. If that Linvala was Torrential Gearhulk, this would be impossible to recover from. Still pretty bad as things are.
You know what I'm hoping for now, Ryan?
Nicol Bolas?
It's time. It's time for the Dragon.
You want to see that one win a game?
Yeah, he hasn't done it yet. I've only seen it cast once. I know he's in there.
Ooh, Dovin Bond, even better.
The second Dovin Bond. Nahiri gonna go get Torrential Gearhulk. Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Yeah, that's a strong card.
That's a great card. Great card. No complaints.
Torrential Gearhulk, little Glimmer of Genius.
I mean, this is great. Wow, this Torrential Gearhulk getting Glimmer of Genius is this looks really strong.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see more of this interaction.
Maybe we could build a deck around it.
Hamilton's really got himself a stew going now.
Yeah, fills up the hand. Torrential Gearhulk gets to attack with haste. We'll come back to his hand. He'll have 7 cards. See if Dykman wants to keep going from here. Down to 15 he goes. With just lands and Grasp of Darkness.
Now, I don't know Steven Dykman. I don't know what his temperament's like. But I know if I'm sitting in that seat, I am extremely miserable.
I'd say, show me second Dovin Bond. What is that guy's? Okay, look at that guy on screen. What's his ultimate? Can Dovin Bond do something sweet?
Dovin Bond's ultimate is, in fact, one-sided Static Orb.
That's fine.
Yep. That is an accurate assessment.
I was hoping it was going to be cooler.
Static Orb's cool. It's got that.
I don't know. Steven doesn't even use all his mana every turn.
The 7th edition art has those really muscly paladin guys.
This emblem would mean that like Steven would have to be careful about how much he used his Hissing Quagmires. That would be okay. You probably just minus Dovin Bond a bunch.
Oh, not that Static Orb. I want the 7th edition.
I do like the white bordered one.
There we go. See, that's sweet.
That's what Dovin Bond's doing.
Yeah, that's Dovin Bond right there.
If only to the other guy. So Dovenbon's like one of those guys in the background on the right. He was the Vidalkin. Michael gonna look for some more cards here. Supreme Will. As long as we get to see Bolas, I'll be pretty happy. The God Pharaoh must show up.
I'm kind of hoping that Hamilton casts a Supreme Will and puts Bolas on the bottom of his deck.
That's like another sweet play if he looks at Bolas and like picks a land, puts Bolas on the bottom, makes the land drop, says go. You're like, didn't really need it. I mean, I was
Dovenbon.
I was pretty far ahead. Lands are nice though. If I play this land, then when I draw pull from tomorrow, I can
cast it for a lot.
I can cast it for more. Radiant Flames to pick up. You're noticing there's a lot. You might be watching this game and say, man, this is like the 20th different card I've seen in Michael's deck, and you'd be right.
Yes.
A lot of one-ofs here.
Not quite abiding by singleton rules, but plenty of ones, some twos, only 1/4 as far as non-land spells in Glimmer of Genius.
Here's Linvala.
5/5, your turn.
Yeah, it doesn't. Neither of the modes online. Yeah, just that flying, and then just white out the rest of that.
I believe that this is Hamilton's commander.
Okay. Well, no, that doesn't work. He can't play all these other cards if that's his commander.
He's playing some multiples too, so he's going to lose some Sheldon Menery points on this build.
All right, we have. Let's see. Let's look at Steve. Look at that graveyard. All right, we have kill spells and counter spells for everything. Okay, nod from Steven. Yep, that answers everything.
Got a good cards in here.
A lot of spells.
These are the ones that killed all my permanents.
Could check the Grasp of Darkness in his hand. It's just almost enough to kill Linvala.
It's pretty close.
If you draw the second one, we could do it.
Attack with the Quagmire. If you get a block, you can keep your Quagmire around.
I'll make it a 1/1. That's. Oh, Liliana. Oh, this is nice.
Here's a combo.
Here we go. No negate. One time.
I believe there's been a negate for quite some time in Hamilton's hand.
Liliana's going to resolve. Michael's just going to be a trick. He's going to negate the Grasp of Darkness.
Yeah, you can just attack the Liliana.
I would just let it resolve. Always going to negate. I would just let all of it resolve. Liliana resolves. Grasp of Darkness resolves. My turn. like, why'd you let him have the Planeswalker? Just got shrug. Like, it's fine.
I was ahead by a lot.
Yeah. I have this problem when I play controllers and get ahead by a lot. I just stop doing anything.
That's not a problem.
But like to that point, I just let everything resolve, and you'd be like, you have 6 counter spells in your hand. I'd be like, yeah, it's great.
What if he top decked 7 really good things?
Linvala will hit in for 5. Inspiring Vantage to the play says go.
3 more turns, or 2 more turns even.
I believe the rules of the game are if you get 6 counter spells in your hand, you win the game.
Yeah, if your opponent's not doing anything, it sounds like a reasonable rule.
You just win.
Oh, just in general?
Just in general. That's why you don't play them, because you already won.
Sure.
You can answer everything.
Sometimes when I play a cube draft and I have a hand like that, I just start playing face up.
You should play face up and then let all his things resolve.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Obviously.
Then, you have the negate, and then just show face up the negate and let the Liliana resolve.
Just keep shrugging your shoulders.
Yeah, it's fine. I can attack that one. Quagmire for Steven. It's his 3rd one. But once that static orb from Dovenbon happens, not going to be able to use all 3 of these.
I hate to break it to you, but I don't think we're going to see a Dovenbon ultimate in this game.
We could. You don't know that.
That's true.
What we're not seeing is Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh.
There's also a thing we don't seem to be seeing.
Dykeman's down to 5.
At some point, that Grasp of Darkness is going to do something pretty close to Fog.
Here we go. 2nd Dovenbon. Oh, draw a card.
The hard lock. Back over 20.
Another cast out. No, we already had the cast out. Drew something. We didn't get to see it.
Like Harness Lightning.
There we go. That should be game 1 here.
It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
This is great. in this spot, I'm on the controls. I just want to play like progressively more and more situational cards to make my opponent feel bad about what's happened.
Nissa's defeat.
Yeah. In the mid. Do something like next turn to be like off Aether Hub, make green. Nissa's renewal, find 2 basics, not the 3rd, gain 7, go. And you should be like, what's going on? It's my value ramp spell. Don't worry about it. Nissa Voice of Zendikar is going to resolve for Steven. He'll say go. Michael, really thinking a lot on this one. I don't. Yeah.
Torrential Gearhulk,
Yeah.
sweet. Can play Gearhulk. He has Cast Out to deal with that plant token, that menacing plant token. He has Harness Lightning to take care of Hissing Quagmire. That should lock everything up.
You could just do nothing.
Yeah.
Just
Doing
keep
nothing
doing
also locks
Just
everything up.
Just like cast out the Nissa and then just untap. Or don't cast out the Nissa. That's probably fine too.
Cycle the Cast Out, I think, is the optimal play here.
Well, that's doing a lot of nothing. Maybe too much nothing. We need to do less nothing. And just, yeah, this was the play. I like it. I like it. A Braid draws another card with Dovin Bond. It's still not Nicol Bolas. Everyone is really disappointed on this.
Nicol Bolas would be lethal.
He's drawn like the rest of his deck. I've seen drawn all his other Planeswalkers. And there's still a Jace left.
Well, here comes Wandering Funeral. Time to do some work. Yeah, attack that Nissa. That's going to be important.
Can't let him have a Planeswalker, Ryan. Come on. Have you seen Nissa's ultimate? That would be bad news. We could lose if that happened. Here's Grasp of Darkness on Linvala. That's the fog you were talking about.
So Hamilton has a couple options. He can Gearhulk for a counter spell.
No way.
Or
absolutely not.
He can do nothing.
Yeah, there we go. You found the play. If you think we were going to Gearhulk for a counter spell, that is way too aggressive here. Yes, it would have won.
There's no way of knowing that. You know, Dykeman still has 2 cards in his hand.
It'll win next turn. You know, it's fine.
Yeah.
Fatal Push on the Fumarole. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Just let it happen. They're going to attack your Dovin Bond. That's the bad part.
Dykeman's got a lot of heart.
Dykeman goes to 4. He's going to kill the Dovin Bond. Maybe you have to protect Dovin. You can't Radiant Flames here, though, to kill the plant, because it would kill Linvala, too. She's a 1/1. I'll just say go.
Big pickup.
Big draw. All right, what do we...
Winding Constrictor off the top.
Like, what is he? I wonder what could he... Trying to think of some big thing he could hit. It's not in the set. Genesis Hydra. It's not even good enough. Winding Constrictor, 2/3. See if Michael has an answer.
Does that resolve?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. That's fine.
Okay.
He should really attack Dovin.
Well, if he wants to remove any Planeswalker from the game.
You can't cast out the Hissing Quagmire. It's a land.
True.
It's non-land.
That's something that's always perturbed me a little bit. When a land becomes a creature, it's still technically a land.
You can't Abrupt Decay it. That always seems dumb.
Yeah.
He's going to let him have Dovin Bond. Passes. It's an extra card. Linvala swings. Okay, yeah, that's game. There we go. Michael Hamilton takes the first game with 4-color control.
Was able to thread the needle there.
Whew.
And
glad we waited to make sure he could find the winning line.
In the sideboard games, things should be getting better for Dykeman. You won't see him picking up all those Grasp of Darknesses and Fatal Push.
Yeah.
We see a lot more relevant stuff here.
All right, let's look at some of the sideboards here for the players. Okay, for Steven Dykeman's deck, he had, you're right, some cards that are less than ideal here. And actually, with this black-green mid-ranged version, that's a kind of deck that sideboards incredibly well. So I'm looking at Transgress the Mind, Lost Legacy, Crook of Condemnation, Natural State, Gehenni's Expertise, Murder to the Slaughter, Appetite for the Unnatural. There are some things to like here, but not as much as I was hoping for.
Yeah, it's a little bit light, but the 4 Transgress the Mind, those are excellent. And the 2 of the Slaughter generally plays pretty well against an opponent that has a bunch of Planeswalkers hanging out. If you can hit Nahiri with that, you take down Dovin Bond.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
Oh, gosh. That's the thing is that, see, Dovin Bond, you know how, like, you can't play To the Slaughter against a deck with tokens because they'll just sacrifice a token? It's like Dovin Bond's kind of the same argument.
He's a team player. He'll get in the way,
It's
block
like,
for
man,
your Nahiri.
Yeah, I would put into the Slaughter, except you're just going to sack Dovin Bond.
And you really can't play Lost Legacy against a deck. I suppose you can name Glimmer of Genius, and that actually...
Oh, gosh. I mean, you're right.
That's one of the better cards that Hamilton has access to, so that is an option that's on the table.
All right, now remember, one of the things we should look at here is that they're face up on sideboards. So Steven can sideboard against Hamilton's sideboard. So let's move over to his. 3 Spell Queller, 3 Glory Bringer, 2 Gideons. None of these are in the main. This is awesome. A Chandra's Defeat, a Jace's Defeat, a 2nd Radiant Flames, a Forsake the Worldly. That's the Cycling Naturalize. Dispel, Essence Scatter, and Confiscation Coup.
Good mix of creatures. Essence Scatter for something like the Dream Stealer, having more of that is pretty good. We saw earlier in the tournament, Jaden Clomperens had a turn 4 Gideon against Dykeman, and it was really good. Gideon seems relatively strong against his deck, and previously we saw Hamilton bring in Spell Queller and Glory Bringer.
Can I point out
take his opponent by surprise?
that the main deck has 2 Dovin Bonds and the sideboard has 2 Gideons?
I don't understand what you're trying to say.
I don't know. That was just a thought.
It's not always a good matchup for Gideon.
Yeah. All right. You were saying.
Spell Queller is a little awkward on the draw, but you can have them. You can kind of force Dykeman to have access to some of those spot removal spells that are otherwise kind of poor. Glory Bringer pressures Planeswalkers and kills all of the creatures in Dykeman's deck, so that actually seems pretty good here.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see how much, like, this is going to play out more, I think, like a mid-range fight than it will like a control matchup. And if that's true, I'm actually really excited about Confiscation Coup in Michael's deck. You know, mid-range fight, you play Tireless Tracker, I steal it. Great.
Yeah. Control Magic, pretty good.
Yeah. I'm interested about Spell Queller, whether he'll go to that, whether he'll go to Glory Bringer. Those are...
I expect Glory Bringer. Wouldn't be surprised about Spell Queller.
Yeah. Once that starts happening, does Dykeman have to keep in some amount of Grasp? Murder? Something?
You're going to want a small number of that.
You don't just want to let the Spell Queller stay alive. It's going to be pretty close.
Right.
All right, so on our backup match, John Rossum and Zan Sayed, teammates here, going to a 3rd game. The 4-color Emerge deck takes the first sideboarded game. Here we're going to game number 2 with Michael Hamilton up a game. Making possibly a repeat of the undefeated match from yesterday. We will see. Now, 2 weeks ago we had our Invitational. And this weekend, we were fortunate enough to premiere the new token that the winner, Brian Koval, had made. Brian Koval won the tournament with Death and Taxes, but rather than getting something out of his modern deck, Brian Koval, mainly an Eternal player in Vintage and Legacy, had his Monk token made here. And this is all about Vintage.
Oh, yeah. You got the Mox Sapphire around the neck. In the background, you see Ancestral Recall. Some really nice callbacks here.
All right, this token... This now can have debuted the artwork. We're getting them printed. They'll be available starting on July 30th from StarCityGames.com, the online store. They ship for free with orders. Also, you can for free for entering any of our Season 2 Opens and Classics. The first one of those will be the Syracuse Open. That's happening in 3 weeks. So you can go ahead and show up there or place an order on the store to get one of these limited edition tokens.
One thing that this token is missing, an allusion to Time Walk. Get those bone guys walking around. They don't really fit the theme. But that is one of my favorite arts in Magic anyway.
Is the idea that they're from the past? Is that why they're bone guys?
It's hard to say, you know. It's art. You can interpret it many ways.
Explaining alpha art.
Should we analyze what's happening on Stasis as well?
Yeah, that's was it. The kangaroo can't see. But he's either heavier or lighter than the monk painting something.
Right, one of those two things.
Yeah. They decided they had to weigh them to see.
It was something that you couldn't be certain of without putting them on a scale.
And that's why your things don't untap, Ryan.
Well, you were trying to figure out that problem. I was tapping your lands.
One of my favorite experiences with early Magic. If you ever played the game Chandelar,
Yeah.
that was the only played, was it 4th edition cards?
That game was, it went from unplayable garbage to completely broken.
First time I'd seen the card Stasis, playing this one. My opponent was playing mono blue. This is back, in the 90s, so it's great. Played a Stasis, then thought really hard. Then he tapped his last 2 lands to play a second Stasis, and then passed me the turn. AI's come kind of a long ways since then.
Yeah, second Stasis is
He tapped out for it.
Not particularly powerful.
I don't think that was a good play.
In a lot of ways, second Stasis is reminiscent of second Dovenbahn.
Maybe I was going to destroy the first one.
Yeah. You got to get ready for that. See,
you never know.
Pretty evenly matched are this mime type person.
Yeah, the mime's a little heavier.
Well, it could still be teetering. That's usually not where a scale stops.
All right, game 3 underway. Or 2 rather. Game 2. Steven Dykman, Black Green Energy. He's gonna hope to get out ahead earlier this game. Turn 2, he'll have Glint Sleeve Siphoner, sneaking that one under counter Magic.
Yeah, things already looking better.
Yeah, it gets an energy. This is a card that Hamilton will have to remove. It's the type of threat he needs to be concerned about.
Right. Because Ether Hub made the black mana here, only one mana, 1 energy, so Dykman can't draw a card just yet.
Yeah, on the attack, Glint Sleeve Siphoner will make a 2nd energy, and then Hamilton will have to react. You see Harness Lightning and Essence Scatter in his hand. So if he needed to, he could have done something about it. Because there was only that 1 energy, it looks he could take the turn off.
Right. He's waiting to see if he wants to Essence Scatter something, like a Tireless Tracker coming down on this turn.
We'll get their names back here in just a second. There we go.
We get the score updated. We also get the correct name on the left side.
Yeah, well, we got one of the names back. We're figuring out that was the quarterfinal match. Don't worry about that. We'll go back over to the match as this gets figured out. 2 energy, a hit for 2 in with Glint Sleeve Siphoner. It's going to be Walking Ballista on 1 from Dykman.
And Dykman does have Tireless Tracker here. Yeah, he sniffed out that Hamilton likely sitting on something like a Sensor or an Essence Scatter. The Walking Ballista likely to just resolve here.
It does. For 1, says go. Hamilton will end step, use Harness Lightning on the Glint Sleeve Siphoner. I think both players know what's going on the other side.
Right. The Harness Lightning, possibly not something that Dykman predicted. He played around the counter Magic, but because Hamilton was able to use his mana meaningfully otherwise, kind of a win for Hamilton there.
Spire Bluff Canal. At some point, Steven will have to try for Tireless Tracker. If he just keeps playing really anemic threats like Walking Ballista, and then Michael doesn't counter, eventually that just plays into Michael's game plan.
Right.
Like, if you're only going to play Walking Ballistas, that's fine.
A time will come where I will kill them all at once. Or you just stick with one, get it under my Dovenbahn lock.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That looks like he's setting up for that next turn. Dovenbahn, Essence Scatter, 2nd Essence Scatter, Glory Bringer, and lands for Hamilton.
I'm looking at casting Tireless Tracker this turn.
Here's Tireless Tracker. He'll go for it. This should get a counterspell from Hamilton.
As long as it's not Sensor, it's not too bad.
Maybe he wanted to be Sensor. You see, oh, never mind. He plays the Aether post combat because if it resolved, he wanted to have the land.
Right.
Port Town, the draw for Hamilton. Took 1 off the Walking Ballista.
And here comes Dovenbahn. That's going to plus on the Ballista.
There we go. Ballista down to a -2/1. Creates an opening for this Obnixilis if there's another land. Dykman draws Tireless Tracker, but I don't know if he has the land. It would be really good with either of these cards. Yeah, he doesn't have it.
And Dykman was setting up to top deck the land for Ob Nixilis. The way things played out, if he sat on that 4th land and just cast Tracker land this turn, this would be a lot better than what he's about to do.
He's going to cast Lost Legacy out of the sideboard, targeting Michael. Let's see what he names. It's going to resolve. This is hard. Michael's deck does not have... I mean, maybe it is the Glimmer of Genius, as you mentioned. Yeah, he named Glimmer of Genius.
I've had a black-green player do this to me before.
Did you win?
Yeah.
Yeah, I play a lot of black-green. I don't know that I would make this play. But I want to actually say that there's some heads-upness to this. So against the straight blue-red deck, I probably wouldn't make this play. It means they'll just Hieroglyphic Illumination and Gear Hulk that. But against Hamilton's deck, that's so many 1s and 2s with 4 glimmers gluing it together. I think there's an argument for this. Also,
being able to see the hand does help quite a bit. He knows he has to worry about Glorybringer going forward.
I mean, he may, I guess, yeah, he's going to see that one next turn either way, huh?
Yeah, seems pretty likely.
All right, 4 glimmers removed.
That other one, that Essence Scatter there.
Yeah, it's another Essence Scatter. Now, this missing a land might actually end up being good for Dykman. If Michael Hamilton just makes Glorybringer here, then Dykman draws the land. Ob Nixilis can kill Glorybringer, and that's that interesting situation where actually the second player to make their 5-drop ends up the winner.
Right. Yeah, that would be a good turn of events for sure. Though with Essence Scatter, you might see Hamilton just sit on his Glorybringer.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's some temptation here to play Glorybringer, exert, kill Ballista, draw a card with Dovinbon as your turn.
Right.
That looks pretty nice.
I can imagine significantly worse turns than that.
Yeah, just clear the board and then start drawing extra cards. I do like it.
Dykman checking out Dovinbon.
Yeah,
getting a good look at that Static Orb ultimate.
That's not. Well, you don't. Does he do that? Do people do that with this card?
Well, he's checking to see if it's anything that might happen.
Yeah, I don't really know.
You start -1ing Dovinbon before you look at that.
Interesting choice for Hamilton. He drew a copy of Censor. And he'll keep. Yeah, he's building up toward it. Okay, how much loyalty does Dovin need?
7 of them.
Okay.
Small investment.
If you get to 7, is this better than just minusing him?
No.
Okay. Well, might be. If the game goes late, that's a really nice emblem, right?
I imagine that if you end up in a blue mirror where there's a lot of counter wars happening.
Oh, yeah, you can't win. Can't win. If you ultimated this in the mirror, then I scoop.
Right. Against a deck like Green-Black Energy, significantly lower impact. It's also a matchup where you do want to be drawing extra cards. Because Hamilton's hand is more or less made already, he has a couple counter spells already.
All right, Dykman hits the untapped land, so he has some choices. He knew there was no counter spell at the time. So he can play Tireless Tracker. That'll probably get Essence Scattered. He can just go land Ob Nixilis. That was safe a turn ago.
Right.
It's actually he's going to get blown out if he goes for it.
Yeah, because Hamilton drew Censor.
Yeah.
That's such bad news.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Steven's spot you go for that play too. It's just, it looks really nice.
Steven's going to read Dovinbon again.
Yeah, I mean, Ob Nixilis pluses to draw a card, not minuses.
Yeah, but Dovinbon gains 2 life. Ob Nixilis loses you 1 life.
I think he's checking whether or not Dovinbon can target other planeswalkers. We're going to check the same thing. No, creature.
Can't even target vehicles, and it's in a set where vehicles were introduced.
And Michael Hamilton draws the Censor, and Dykman Ob Nixilis is countered, and you see it on his face. Just
bummer city.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This was the right play by Steven. It's just he's getting hit at every turn.
Yep.
Dovin up to 6, targeting the Ballista. And here's Glorybringer. Exert kills Ballista. And, yeah, no damage to throw around because Dovinbon plussed on the Ballista.
Won't be just 2 short turns when you might see that Static Orb emblem.
Essence Scatter. That was the second Glorybringer. He drew that one.
Oh, wow.
Oh my, Michael Hamilton's deck's so good. I mean, this is great.
Who needs Glimmer?
I mean, I really like the Glorybringer plan out of the sideboard. That card's really scary from the black-green side. Tireless Tracker from Steven, no land. Glint Sleeve Siphoner, that gets him a mana. Goes up to 3 energy, says go. We're going to see the Static Orb, aren't we? It's going to happen.
Well, 2 creatures there. You got to kill those. Gotta protect.
Can. Well, you just have to minus one of them.
Gotta protect Dovey B.
What I'm interested is which one Michael will kill and which one he will let stay alive.
Yeah, they both have an ability that lets him draw cards potentially.
Maybe you keep Tracker alive. Tracker. Well, actually, Tracker could still attack if you keep it alive.
Right.
It's only -3, -0 that Dovin gives.
The Tracker does seem just generally more significant.
Well, the Siphoner's a guarantee to draw a card next turn. Tracker is not. So Hamilton's going to start by cycling Censor. Wants a little more information, finds a land. Here's another mana prepping that second Glorybringer. Still no Bolus. Dovinbon up to 7, though. Tyler's Tracker's, okay, he's going to shrink Tracker down to a 0/2. Second Glorybringer exerts, kills Siphoner. Tracker can still attack. It's a 0/2 right now. And a pass. Dykeman doesn't draw land, then Dovinbon's ultimate's going to happen. I'm actually, Dykeman's down to 12 from these dragons. There's that as well.
So with Dovinbon going from 3 to 7, it's 3-ish cards Hamilton could have drawn extra. I think on average, all of those cards are individually better than Dovinbon's ultimate.
Land Clue, sacrifice. Tyler's Tracker up to a 4/3. Draws Winding Constrictor. Has that. He also has the Dream Stalker. And he's going to attack Dovinbon for 1.
It's not attacking for 17, so.
I mean, with the pair of Glorybringers, I'm just not sure at this point that Dykeman can get out of this. It's they're going to take turns exerting, or they'll just attack Steven directly. Both of them are going to be hard to beat.
Right. His Glorybringers are doing a ton of work here.
Yeah, I love these Glorybringers out of the sideboard in this matchup. A really intelligent plan for Michael. Dream Stalker from Steven. Go back over to Hamilton. Draws Aether Hub, but he should be able to get this with what he has on the board.
Question on everybody's mind, will Hamilton finally draw a card off of Dovinbon?
No, make the emblem.
He's thinking about it. It's tough. Static Orb's so cool, and drawing cards is so good.
We'll see. Bond down to 5. Now
There we go.
Ah.
There we go.
I've never even seen a Dovinbon emblem.
I don't think anybody has.
I probably opened one drafting and then just,
Oh, you mean just like
physically seen one?
I have seen one.
I've definitely never seen one in play.
Yeah.
Glorybringer exerts, kills Tireless Tracker. Dykeman down to 8. Let's go. He has in hand Essence Scatter and picked up a Supreme Will.
Aether Hub as well at the ready to discard to this Dream Stealer.
I mean, at this point, yeah, he doesn't have to keep playing for the complete control strategy here. He has enough damage in the air.
A 2-turn clock here just off these Glorybringers.
Winding Constrictor. The play here from Steven. I mean, he did not have much removal for Glorybringers to start. See Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. It's going to get countered. Supreme Will. Just hoping to swing, have Michael discard 3 cards on the attack. Here's Dream Stealer. It could go at Dovin. It could go at Michael. It'll go at Michael. He'll discard the Aether Hub.
Got to hit a player to trigger that discard ability.
Yeah.
Though Hamilton has everything he needs on the battlefield.
Yeah, the double Glorybringers that without kill spells, that's really what's going to seal it up here. We see
And that Fumarole, that's just lethal right now.
Yeah, swing, exert, and Steven extends the hand. Michael Hamilton, 4-color control. He is on to the finals. Started the tournament 8-0. A loss in round 9, 3 wins to start the day today, and now 2 more in the top 8.
Yeah, for Dykeman, an innovative take on black-green energy. Definitely looks like the mirror was something very much on his radar, but this control match, it was a little too much for him to handle.
All right, so congratulations to Michael Hamilton. He has one half of the rematch from yesterday set up. We are going to try to catch some of the end of the other match. It's deep into Game 3 between John Rossum and Zan Sayed. Some sort of a board stall between the two. If we can, we're going to try to get the conclusion of that.
Yep.
But this 4-color control deck, I mean, Michael ran away with both those ones.
He did. And a lot of that, I think, does have to do with the way that Dykeman constructed his deck. I think he was trying to largely dodge these kind of control matchups. He does have the Dream Stealers and a couple of Planeswalkers.
Yeah, I actually like those cards. I mean, there were a lot of turns. I don't want to say. I mean, look at that turn with the Obnixilis. He took a card from his hand, one turn to draw. If that Obnixilis resolves, if Hamilton just doesn't draw Censor there, I mean, Dykeman might win.
Sure.
And I felt like there was a lot of that going on.
That was the point. Hamilton could have drawn 1 or 2 extra cards off of Dovin Bond at that point as well. He plus the Dovin Bond there for sure. So he did have another draw if he didn't have the Censor to block against the Obnixilis,
Okay.
which is something to consider as well.
All right, we're going to bring it to the end of the other match here. This is in Game 3. It's Zan Sayed versus Jonathan Rossum. So over on the left, John Rossum, 22 life, white.